we were sitting down and we heard a couple girls. They were like maybe college age, something. You know the story? And boy, tell this story. This is
Yeah,
hilarious. Go ahead.
yeah. It's um, one of the girls was complaining about the boyfriend, and the other was affirming them. But did you hear the complaint? It's complaining like he's taking too much time trying to study. Um, the other girl is like, how can he do that? Should be there for you and such things.
Oh
So
my God. And she's just like, what's more important? Your studies or me? And she's like, well, clearly you. What's wrong with him? That's how it sounds when you ask ChatGPT or Grok or any of these tools for like dating advice. It'll just tell you whatever you want to hear because that way you'll keep using the tool. And it's being trained by all these retards. So, there's that.
yeah,
So it's getting worse. This is how we're going to save the world. That's our mission. If we actually get this right, which I don't even see anybody else trying to do because all the metrics are going to be wrong. I want to share another. I'll share another thing with you guys. I saw somebody write an essay on X. They were talking about ed tech, and the title of the essay was "Don't get into ed tech. It's too hard." Oh, did you see that? I shared that.
yeah, I did.
Oh, tell
Yeah,
everybody about that. That's really good. Make sure everybody reads that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he basically wrote saying
Here,
that.
pull it up. Pull it up while I share about it because it's so good. I want to
Oh,
read the beginning of it. It's just like, oh my God, yeah. Because it's like, yep, I didn't know either. He's basically saying all the metrics that people use to try to build a successful app don't work with education. And it relates to the nature of the meaning of life, basically. It's like all the metrics that we built with the first generation of apps are geared towards instant gratification, which is like the opposite of actual learning, which ultimately should be cultivating free will. Like I need to back that out logically for you guys, like it'd take a longer conversation. But basically, if you're doing a good job of living life well, you should be cultivating more and more agency and free will. And instant gratification takes that away. You're actually losing that. So be careful with games like Elden Ring.
yeah,
It's important to have things also like that's another reason why I don't level up my character or like try to strive for whatever goal they give me. Like there's more of a it's like a place where I go to reflect with like instant like watch out for instant gratification in all of its forms. But can you zoom in on that? I can't see that super good.
yeah.
Hey Jordan, do you want to read that for everybody?
Yeah, of course. Just let me just zoom out. Okay, alright. The reason why so many edtech companies fail is overly idealistic founders who ignore uncomfortable truths about the world. When your model of the world does not match reality, not even hundreds of millions of dollars of investor money can save you. Three core truths. Kids learn at different rates. Two, most families value childcare over education. Three, most schools value equalization over education. Ignore these facts and your edtech company is doomed. At Mental
Hey, wait.
Value.
And Boya, can you open up the actual link to the article underneath?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, pull that up.
Um,
Why you shouldn't join EdTech. Did you read this one, Mboya?
yeah, I did.
Oh yeah, go ahead and zoom in on that one. Yep. Here, I'll go. Do you want to read, Jordan, or do you want me to read? Either way, I'm fine.
Yeah, let's start with a bold statement. You probably shouldn't work on edtech. If you're a talented engineer, a sharp product manager, or a creative designer looking for your next challenge, you should probably look elsewhere. Go work in fintech, education. I say this as someone who believes so deeply in the mission of improving education that it forms the core of my professional identity. I say this as someone who builds learning apps for Alpha School, a school dedicated to fundamentally changing how children learn. And I say this because the single most important qualification for succeeding in edtech is not your technical skill, your product sense, or your design aesthetic. It's your unwavering alignment with the mission. If you don't have
A
that, you will fail.
fucking men. Sorry, I just want to jump in here just for a second. I've told you guys so many times that your technical ability is not what matters most. And this is why. Sorry, go ahead and keep going. I just wanted to emphasize that point because it's very relevant to all of you.
Yeah, yeah, I've heard you say that before, for real, man.
Go ahead. You're doing great.
If you don't have that, you will fail. Not because you can't build things, but because you won't have the fuel to build the right things when real challenges of the edtech reveal themselves. That's exactly right, yeah. The graveyard is full of good intentions. EdTech is littered with the wreckage of well-funded startups that had brilliant engineers, slick demos, and promising pilots, but lack the conviction to see the mission through. All School raised over 200 million from Silicon Valley's elite to revolutionize personalized learning, only to close most of its schools and sell its tech for parts. Newton promised a mind-reading robot tutor in the sky with eight with 180 million in the VC backing, then got sold to a publisher for a fraction of that investment when the AI utopia failed to materialize. In India alone, 2,148 edtech startups shut down in the past 5 years, not from technical failure, but from mission drift. When the metrics didn't cooperate, when the sales cycle dragged on, when the VC pressure mounted, these teams pivoted, shut down, or sold for parts. They couldn't sustain the grind because they were building a product, not changing in reality. If that warning doesn't deter you, then let's explore exactly what killed them and what challenges await you. You're not building software, you're building a theory of how children learn. Anyone who has built software in the age of AI has felt the initial intoxicating rush of speed. An idea for a SAS school tool, a weekend for a weekend of furious prompting and a working demo emerged from the digital ether. Dopamine hits are fast and frequent. My teammate Mitchell White captured this journey perfectly in a recent tweet that resonated with thousands. He described the arc, the 24-hour demo, the feature printing, the feeling that you've hacked the matrix, but then reality sets in. A bug fix breaks two other features. The code base becomes a minefield. The project is abandoned. Why? Because as Mitch explains, the developer missed the prompting for architecture. They generated code, but they never built a theory. Programming isn't writing code. Programming is building a theory, a mental model of how your system works and how it maps to real-world problems. Without that theory, you don't have software. You have fragments that happen to compile.
And Boya,
1 second, sorry. I need to.
Pata's Pata spent 4 years building fragments that compile.
Yeah.
So this is why him not eating his own cooking would never ever have worked. Like I was trying to help him learn how to iterate towards truth. Um, and if you look into Alpha School, they've basically built like a private school that costs a lot of money with a lot of physical buildings, and they hire a bunch of faculty to do things that, at least on a surface level, appear to have elements of what Weeple School was doing. Um, although they have curriculums of Common Core that students are basically going through and doing school, doing the Common Core, but they're doing it using apps, kind of like Khan Academy, um, and then doing projects in the afternoons. And I haven't looked into it deeply, but like something resembling that is moving towards what I think education is going to need to do. Um, what it's missing a few things. One is, of course, like the one of the biggest challenges to education right now is that the phone is a distraction and social media is a distraction. So they're fighting against it rather than weaving that into it, right? Um, social apps are the most used applications on people's phones. So integrating that into the educational process needs to be a big part of this solution. Um, but I guess I can pick up from where George, although I really enjoyed
Okay,
having.
just hold on. I have a question because
Yeah,
it's a question that I have for the longest while now. Like, if all these products are geared towards profit, using um, like science in order to make people, addicted to these things, then why is it that um, you don't tend to point the finger at capitalism as a um, driver for those things? Because I mean, they are just people are just working within a system in order to um, earn profit. And I saw videos of one particular video of Sumi and Ella talking about that capitalism isn't the problem, and I just curious to know it, how you make sense of that because I feel like if you are in an environment that incentivizes, um, well, I guess profit, then
I
how do
have
you
an
think
answer
profit
for
is
you.
that healthy?
I have an answer for you. And it's similar to what Elon ran into with electric vehicles and SpaceX. It's basically its time horizon. So if basically the longer your time horizon, the more your business goals can align with virtue, and value. Because like the shorter your time, like think about how these models are trained. Like these models are kind of like they're fundamentally flawed, these AI models, because they're trained using a metric that requires instant feedback. Okay, right? So like with Weequal School, people set their goals, but they're not getting feedback from their family fellowship until 5 days later, right? There's a delay, right? There's no delay with Facebook and X and Instagram. People see it and they just instantly respond by either clicking on it or giving it a thumbs up or something. And so that's an instant gratification feedback loop. That's just reflecting emotional impulses. That's the part of our brain that we share with monkeys. But it's not anything that, the holy books would say reflects the part of us that was created by God in his image, right? So, what makes human beings different? It's that we're not just instant gratification driven. We have the capacity for free will. We have the capacity to reflect and think consciously about what our goals are and try to achieve something that doesn't instantly satisfy us. That's literally the one thing that distinguishes human beings from all other living things. All living things learn through conditioning. That is that we do something and then there's an immediate response to our environment. Like if we eat, we can satisfy our desire for hunger, you know? If we need to go take a piss, we can urinate and then we can feel relief. Like that's how animals learn. Like if you want to train a dog to sit, then you get the dog to sit somehow and then you instantly give it a treat, right? So that way of learning is effective. It's very effective, but it also, in the process of training people in that way, you actually train them out of free will, right? You make them subservient. You make them subservient to instant gratification, right? That's why video games can be dangerous if you engage with them the wrong way. That's why a lot of like our entire economy in America is really built around instant gratification, right? We see something like look at the checkout aisle at your grocery store. You know, there's like a whole bunch of stuff that they shove right by the checkout aisle. What is all that stuff? It's all the impulse buy stuff that people regret. They're like, well, we don't want this in the back of the store. You know, you put that right before you check out, all the magazines and all the candy bars, right? So, so the if you have a really long, like, look at me, like my family's been at this, depending on how you count, between 5 and 10 years, and we still haven't made. We've basically been losing money the entire time. We did make some money, like we occasionally charge people, but if anybody came in and really wanted to enough, like Abhinav, we never charged Abhinav. You know, I'm not going to charge some 13-year-old kid in India money to join Weequal School as long as he really wants to be there, right? So we've just been losing money. My family's probably spent like $1 million over the past 7 years in paying various people to support what we were building, iterating towards really even understanding our goal. Remember what I was saying earlier about the goal of life and how your conceptual understanding of your goal needs to change over time? That's part of the goal. Learning needs to be part of your goal. Recognizing that your goal will need to iterate and improve over time. I didn't know that our mission was to save the world, you know, and maybe that's not the best way of putting it, but it feels like that. That's not where we were even a year ago. 5 years ago, I just wanted to find some families that could do projects with my kids. That was my goal, you know? So we have a very, very long time horizon. There's that video I keep sharing with you guys, how David beats Goliath. I'm not gonna quit. I'm either gonna win or I'm gonna die trying. So I have a very, very long time horizon. But if we can win, if we can simultaneously solve the education and social media problems in one app, the market is, it's hard to fathom how big that market is, because the largest market in the world is the mortgage market, or sorry, is the education market. It's even bigger than the housing market. If you take into account higher education and K through 12, and then like and also the largest, most powerful companies in the world are these social media tech companies. So Weequal app is set to disrupt both of the largest, most powerful markets in the world. So if we can get this right, and it's not going to be because of our technical ability, it's going to be because we have the correct theory of how the mind works. It's going to be because we have a better understanding of human nature and the meaning of life and how to live it. If we can nail that and make the first, you know, and find 100 people or 10 people that discover that this is actually helping them, like actually helping them, like actually helping. You can't go on these apps and ask it for dating advice. You know, you can't go on these apps and ask it for like good advice on college or anything. Like, it's 10% of the time that I use ChatGPT 5.1, the best AI model out there as far as I can figure to just figure out what to do in Elden Ring, 10% of the time it hallucinates. And that's in a world that is finite, that is better documented than just about any game ever because it was the highest grossing game in the world 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
So if it's that bad at answering objective fact-based questions about where to find a talisman or how to get to XYZ place in a video game, how is it supposed to answer questions that relate to the Omnifinity with accuracy without just like being like the girlfriend at this restaurant? Oh my God, you totally deserve better. Like, right? So if we can nail this, you could not find a more powerful, more ambitious mission than the one that we're on. And this essay is just barely scratching the surface as to why it's so hard. All the metrics used to try to measure whether you're winning with an app are wrong. They're all based on instant gratification and instant feedback loops. You can't train. This is why Sume quit her. She did Duolingo. She got a 1,000-day streak on Duolingo and then quit on purpose because it's like fuck it. She's just trying to learn Chinese. She's not trying to develop a habit like she's on crack or cocaine. But that's the way that all these apps are designed. They're backwards. You guys have been on this call for like nearly 2 hours. How many people in America do you think could stay on a Zoom call for longer than 20 minutes without feeling like they gotta get off and go just do something else where they can just instantly get dopamine hits? Like, I mean, it's just like we've lost our capacity to focus as a species. The children that are being raised in America right now would be way better off being beaten in many cases, in my opinion, the way that parents used to. I'm dead serious. Spare the rod, spoil the child. I'm not a fan of child abuse at all. But the kids that are growing up in America would have been better off with the old school model. We've got grown babies walking around this country. If they don't instantly get their way, they start crying. Like, grow the fuck up. It's sad. The world needs this, like now, like yesterday. We need to stop electing people that are just manipulating the public. Why do you think Trump talks the way he does? Build the wall, like just like such simple language. Because the American people are too stupid to focus for longer than 3 words. That's how he won, despite 37 felony counts and $500 million worth of fines. This is insane. We have nuclear weapons as a species. We can't be wandering around with an electorate that elects idiots. We need a solution. We need it desperately. And it's not going to come from technical skills. It's going to come from actually being right and building a solution that actually works. It's solving the actual problem, which is not the need to buy more shit or have even more things thrust in front of your face as false goals. 99% of the stuff that people think about these days didn't exist 100 years ago, and people 100 years ago were wiser than they are today. They were happier than they are today. You didn't have people shooting up schools. You didn't have kids wanting to kill themselves. You didn't have grown-ups confused about what gender means and thinking that little boys with balls can be little girls if they believe it. All this crazy bullshit. This is the angry part of me that Mboya doesn't do. Sorry, I'm full of rage. It's just, oh my goodness. I want all of you to finish reading this on your own. I want to wrap this up here because I don't want to keep you forever. But I do want you all to understand that I believe in you. And I was sharing something with Abhinav a few days ago. I shared something with him. I was asking, I was like, Abhinav, why do you think I encouraged Sume to take over the company at age 11? And why did I hire a bunch of people that didn't work at these fancy pants tech companies when I could if I wanted to? You know, don't forget, I'm a rich guy. If I wanted to spend $1 million hiring a bunch of employees from like X or something to go build something, I could do it. Why? Why would I choose to try to work with somebody in Trinidad that I didn't even know if he'd want to be a part of this? Like why am I doing this? Seemingly it's insane. Just the you don't go out of your way to try to work for your 11-year-old daughter with the goal of trying to look good in front of the world or for people to take you seriously. So what's my goal function? I was sharing this with Abhinav a few days ago. Do you remember what I said, Abhinav?
Yep.
You want to share that? How did I put that? I'm trying to remember exactly how I put that. But I was screaming in my basement, and my family heard me upstairs. They're like, Dad, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm just passionate. That and I missed you so badly. So good to see you.
Yep.
What's the point of all that?
Just to show we all have free will and we should develop that. Yeah.
It's complicated. It's complicated. Let me try to parse that. Anybody else want to take a crack at it? The other answer is Joe, you're just crazy and stupid. I went out of my way to not hire people that got fancy degrees and worked at all the places that other companies with the same type of mission would have by default required. Why? The hint here is it's actually in that article. There's a hint in that article.
Well, is it that you don't feel that, well, in a sense, they will be working to make just a product? I guess the motivations will be so abstract from, the actual, goal. So, in a sense, it's like, it's as if the passion you have will be absent in them because, is I guess they don't have any personal um, attachment towards your goal, and as a consequence, your business could fail because the mindset that the mindset wouldn't be there. I guess the heart wouldn't be there. Something.
Mm. That's a good guess. That's not it. I think like I've worked with some. I've been working with people that got fancy degrees that worked at great companies my whole career up until I was 35, 36. There's some great people out there. There's definitely some benefit to having that experience. But if it only works for people that have that, then we haven't found the secret sauce. That's really it. So for me to unpack that, let me start with how We Equal School started. At first, when the pandemic hit, Sume and Isla start We Equal School. They did it with neighbors. Okay, all these people, and you gotta like, it's not just America. I also live in a place where it's like $1 million plus homes. Like $1 million home is actually on the cheap side where I'm at. Like my house is like a $2 million home, and that's not even like way up there, you know. And just people that got fancy degrees. working as diplomats, all that, just like the kinds of things where you would think that those kids were going to succeed no matter what, right? Those kids were struggling with Weequel School unless we were there. It was helping them. The idea of even coming up with a meaningful goal that would motivate them to the end of the week and then share that. It was like that's one reason why we closed down the school. We couldn't even find other adults that could do what we were doing, right? That was basically the experience, right? And boy, we had 1,000 students, 200 families, but all of those students, and 90% of them succeeded, but they succeeded because either me or Sume or Isla were in the room. If we were there, it worked. And it didn't matter if their parents went to Harvard or any of that, because it wasn't about that. What are the biggest things that prevent you from succeeding? It's motivation, right? To get up and go. Like, you guys know the difference between being motivated towards a goal that you feel passionate about and clarity. Nothing can stop you. Versus when you don't. And it doesn't matter if you went to a fancy school. It doesn't matter if you're from a developing country. None of these things matter. When you know what you want and you're motivated and you've got the energy and the resources now, and everybody does. If you've got the internet, you don't need anything else, right? It's a brave new world now, right? You've got access to these AI tools. So the problem with these kids wasn't that they didn't go to fancy enough schools or their parents didn't go to Harvard or whatever, work at some top company. It was the motivation. It was the energy. It was the desire. That's what these kids were missing. But if they were with us, all of a sudden they could get it because we could help them find that. It's the equilibrium concept. It was the taking their own unique strengths, interests, passions, and finding ways to connect that with the wants and needs of the world. My goodness sakes, I've said that so many times. How many times have I said that, boy? Thousands. Over and over and over again. And it didn't matter if other adults came in just repeating that because they didn't understand what those words meant. We went through hundreds of teachers trying to find somebody that could actually help lead this school because Sume and Isla were exhausted after 4 years and 1,000 students. And the best we could find were the ones that I let go, shall we say, this past year. We met 300 teachers at Vela. This is the largest, most prestigious, most well-funded education fund in the world. $4 billion, Vela Fund. Sume was up there on stage a year and a half ago, gave the keynote speech. They gave us $60,000 and we met all these people and none of them knew what they were doing. They were all running glorified daycare centers, just like all these schools. Places where you go where adults tell the kids what to do. That's what they all were, even if they said that they were doing projects. No, yeah, we're empowering kids. It's like, no, you're not. You know that's true. You know why? Because the kids weren't up there talking. That's how you know. If the adult needs to go say anything, they haven't figured it out. Because if you've actually figured it out, then you get kids like Adi. Is Adi in school? No, because he doesn't need a fucking school. Neither does Abhinav. He turned on. He became an enlightened adult. And then they don't need an institution anymore. The kids that are going to Alpha School, their parents pay $50,000 to $70,000 a year for an adult to tell them what to do, even if they're not saying that in their marketing. If they actually figured it out, you wouldn't need to hire any adults to watch the children. That's how you know. Once the child is an adult, they don't need supervisors to watch them anymore. So we started out with all these fancy pants rich kids that had parents that went to all the fancy pants schools and had all the fancy pants jobs. You can tell how I feel about those jobs. And I'm the most fancy pants out of all of them because I made enough money to retire in my 30s. Ha ha ha. I guess that means I won, right? According to them, I don't I don't consider that winning. That's not the point. They're still working because they're buying a lot of shit they don't need too. I don't. Just don't buy shit you don't need. My wife and I were living in poverty and had a 50% savings rate because we ate beans and rice. And we had each other, and that's all we need. We bought clothes from thrift. I still buy clothes from thrift stores because why bother buying really expensive clothes? It just doesn't make any sense. I could have $1 billion. I don't have $1 billion. If I did, I would still shop at thrift stores out of principle. You want to see my chair here? I'll show you. This is my gaming chair. This is kind of fun. It's like I bought this. I buy my furniture at thrift stores too. This is my gaming chair. Yeah. See? See this thing? This thing is like this is a 50-year-old foam pad that my grandparents bought before I was born, probably. I just brought it from my mom's house last time I was there. I was like, oh, I could use that on my gaming chair. You know? It's This is what you need to be happy.
Exercise, meditate, sleep regularly, be kind and gentle, eat and drink healthy.
That's me. That's my wife. There, that's how you make lots of money. That's how you make lots of money, gentlemen. Don't buy shit you don't need and create value for other people. There you go. So, so there's all these fancy pants people that live around me that are more confused than all the poor people, because at least the poor people don't think they have the answer. At least they're like outside. They're not sitting around Lime Grave thinking that they know everything. You know, they're at least out there doing something. They're also not doing a lot of performative stuff to make themselves look good. Poor people don't do that. They've already lost, so they're not even trying. So they have a lot more free time. Don't fall into that, by the way. Once you're out of that, just don't play the game. Just fuck it. If somebody's playing the game, it's a great signal that they're a waste of your time. So then we had version 2.0 of We Equal School. That was my favorite. That's the one when we found Abhinav. Because all my daughter's friends went back to school. Because all their parents, and the kids didn't want to go. They kept reaching out. I still get texts from these kids. They go off to college and then they freak out because they haven't learned how to wipe their own ass yet and they don't know what they're doing with their lives. And they finally leave home and they've been told that their whole lives, that they're like the point of life is to go to college. They go there and they are like terrified because they don't know anything. Because they've been told what to do. You can't be. Adi has learned 100 times more about agency and free will than 90% plus of the 18-year-old kids that graduate from high school in the United States. They don't know how to make decisions. So yeah, you're going to have anxiety attacks and get depressed when you realize that at 18 and you leave home and you're finally an adult. And they're like, I don't feel like an adult. I don't know how to wipe my own ass. Right? So that happened over and over again. It was like nearly 24 times. Antigone was just one example. She like moved in with us because she dropped out of college. She didn't know what she was doing. You know, she spent a month with us, got back on her feet, and then she was fine. It's like, oh, okay. Whew. So these kids from around the world, they joined, and they actually did better. A little bit. But it was still rough. Like Abhinav was one of these kids, he didn't even need We Equal School. He was already living it. Like he was already, in every way that matters, he was already an adult. He was serving, he was helpful in serving his family. He was self-educating. That's the thing. if somebody's an adult, one of the ways you can tell is if they just can learn things when they need to learn things. You know, like if Mboya needed to learn something, he's never once in the past 4.5 years been like, "Oh, Joe, I don't know anything about these cocoa pods, so I need to go get a degree. I'm going to take this class. I'll be back in 4 years." I'm like, "What? No, you just learn it. If you need to know, you just learn the thing, and then solve the problem with the thing that you learn, right? You know."
Yeah.
Um, so Abhinav comes in. He didn't need Weequal School. He was already embodying it. But a lot of these kids they didn't know. So again, it was like me or Sume or Isla, usually me or Sume, but sometimes Isla, especially later. If we were there, they could do it. But we couldn't find any other adults that could do this. Like, well, what's going on? So like, it just became more and more interesting to me. I'm like, what is it that we're doing? Why can't these other people do this? What is it like? And everybody kept telling me, a lot of people were telling me, like the parents would be like, well, Joe, I just, I can't do what you do. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm just asking your kid what their strengths and interests and passions are and listening to them and then helping them ask more questions and think through what their goal should be every week. And it would only take me like 20 minutes. This is not rocket science. And then as soon as the parent would get in the room, they would start judging their child. Like Priyanka is one of these few parents out there in the world that understands it so well. That's why Adi's so amazing. She wasn't trying to force her agenda into his head all the time. So he was able to learn how to think for himself. Right, Adi?
Yeah.
Is it shocking to you that that is so incredibly rare that it's like less than 1 in 10,000 kids in the world? Is that shocking to you?
Yeah.
It should shock you. It's going to take you, you're like, probably by the time you're like 18, you might start to wrap your head around just how fucking insane that is. You're like, that's what my daughters have been going through all year. They're like just trying to wrap their heads around. You can see it in its latest podcast today. You guys got to watch this podcast. You guys need to. It's the best podcast they've ever done. They're talking about this topic, and it's like, holy shit. Like, they're just trying to wrap their heads around this. Adi and Isla's just a year older than you. She's just like, what are they doing to these kids? They're meeting more young kids at Taekwondo and like other kids who are meeting like at churches and stuff. And they're just like, these parents are just handing them phones. And it's like, oh my God. It's amazing and sad and scary and terrifying. It's amazingly terrifying. So we spent another couple years doing that. And amazing, amazing things came out of it, right? But again, not because of the parents and not because of any of these other adults that were there. It was either me or Sume or what's going on? I started going down a rabbit hole. Just like the guy that wrote that article, he's picking up on something. He's like, don't get into ed tech, but I can't do anything else. I'm not leaving.
Right.
I'm either going to win or die trying, because there's something about this that cuts straight to the meaning of life. We're talking about trying to educate young people. What does that mean? It means you're trying to prepare young humans for reality. Well, the young humans that are preparing for reality, they're going to be the older humans that are leading the species. You're basically embedded within your model of education is your mental model of the meaning of life. That is it. You're not writing code. You're trying to build a theory of how people think and the how the brain works, the interconnection between conscious and subconscious mind. This is it, gentlemen. This is it. This is the ultimate mystery. Nothing else could ever be more exciting than this. Because if you figure this out, it's like everything. We win when we understand and have clarity better than everybody else and actually put it into action with a scalable solution. You don't have to go to a fancy school. In fact, that actually detracts. And the reason why I wanted to work with people that didn't have those things is because if I did have those things, I could falsely believe that maybe I figured it out. Would it be easier for me to just like hire up some old colleagues that I used to work with and I had a previous working relationship with and all that? Sure. But then I would start to get false signals, false positives, false positives. False positives are extremely expensive. Do you know what a false positive is, Adi? It's when you think you're right, but you're not. There's a famous quote from Mark Twain. He says, it's not the things that you don't know that get you in trouble. It's the things that you know for sure that just ain't so.
Yeah.
And we're looking for something. There are not multiple answers for this. There is only one model for how human brains learn. And by learn, I mean live, because the two are synonymous. If you have the right goal in terms of how to approach this game we call life, where there's no manual, learning and living are synonymous, because that's what brains do. No matter what you're doing, you're learning. Even if you're just staring at, a blank wall, you're still learning. Your brain is constantly evolving. It's an organism. You can't stop it from learning. You don't go into a building to fucking learn. Every single thought you have, every single moment you breathe, you are learning. The question is what? So if I'm working with people from around the world that don't have any of the things that everybody else says that I'm supposed to, with their false understanding of what the meaning of life is, but they do believe in the mission, and we are trying to live the cooking that we're putting out there for other people. That's why it's important that we use the tool ourselves. We need to know from experience whether or not this is actually working. Set a goal every Monday. Try to achieve that goal. Share that goal with the fellowship. Repeat, iterate, improve, live it, right? Get your families in a room, nobody else. Those are the people you're accountable to. And Boy is right about part of this in the sense that you want to serve family. That needs to be part of that, you know? If we can get this right, it shouldn't matter where you're from. It shouldn't matter where you went to school. It shouldn't matter if you haven't. See what I mean? We want to avoid the false positives. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter where you went to school. My wife grew up in poverty in like a backwards part of China where women were considered basically as bad as the lowest caste system in India. Look at our team. A bunch of people that aren't supposed to be the ones that actually can succeed. Fantastic. Perfect. Led by a teenager. That's exactly what I want. That's exactly where I want to be. Because that way we're not going to get any of these false positives. We don't need the technical skills. It's not about building something that's more complicated. It probably needs to be more simple. That's another thing. That's another thing Padas was like, he never got this. Like, him being more technically proficient led to a lot of false positives that were very expensive, weren't they, in Boya?
Yeah. Very.
Yeah. All right. Share this recording with everybody, especially my wife. Because she takes all these now and she's like using it to build the agent.
Yeah.
I am so excited. We're really close. See, the reason why I'm so confident is that we already did this with 1,000 kids. The fact that our company's being led by a teenager that started a school at 10 and already succeeded in all the ways that everybody recognizes, winning tens of thousands of dollars of grant money and all these other things. Like, she already did it. Like, we already figured out the secret sauce, gentlemen. We just need to build the software that reflects what we already know to be true.
Right.
I've been saying that for a long time, haven't I, boy?
Yeah.
That's a direct quote. David versus Goliath.
Yeah.
So Sume's already done the hard part. You are all the team that we need. And if we succeed, my family plans on being very generous. You don't have to worry about a thing. If we succeed, because I don't want you guys to go anywhere else. I want you guys to be a part of my life till the day I die and beyond. I want your great grandkids hanging out with mine. Like, this is a big moment in human history. This is powerful. This is it. I don't know if you guys see this. We're living like through the singularity. You realize this, right? This is the make or break moment where humanity decides if we're just going to be, if we're going to actually make it past. I forget the name, but there's a theory out there. The reason why we don't find aliens is that species get enough technology to destroy themselves. And the question is, what gets there first? Ignorance or wisdom? What wins out? Do we destroy each other? As we very well can, and we've had the capacity to do that as a species since 1945 with the invention of nuclear weapons. Or are we able to overcome the animal inside and find wisdom and compassion? Can we do it? We are trying to save the world, and we might fail. It's a race against time. There's something like 30 countries that have nuclear weapons right now. COVID was created in a lab. Trump was actually right about that. I thought that was bullshit. But no, Wuhan, nope, that was an invented. Humans invented a virus that killed millions and shut down the world 5 years ago. Let that sink in. We are in a race against time. You might not have grandkids that make it. The two largest superpowers in the world have nuclear weapons pointed at each other right now. My wife's the only person that I know of that deeply understands the East and the West in terms of philosophies. There's a reason why she's taking time off work and trying really hard to make this work. She knows what's at stake. She's a top-level government official in the United States, born and raised in China. We're seeing these two superpowers talking past each other. If it seems like this is even more extreme than like the Fellowship of the Ring trying to fight the armies of Mordor, you would be right. But this is very real. I don't even see anybody else trying. Everybody else is just trying desperately to take advantage of people even more. Sell more shit on Instagram. Sell more, like Elon's turned X into a giant cult following to support himself. So either we succeed and we can take these companies down because people find a platform that actually helps them get out of the darkness, or I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm sure there's other people out there that are fighting for this. There's a lot of good people out there. I just don't know. I don't know anybody else that comes close to having clarity around these things like Sume. I really don't. There's a lot of wise people out there, but piecing all these things together and being that young to be able to build a solution that works for educating young people, because you don't want to count on the adults. Oh my God, is it hard for these old people to learn and change their minds and see the world anew? So yeah, I think that we either win or die trying. But if we win, you better believe I'm gonna, of course. Of course, you know, we'll buy a small island and all hang out there. It'll be great. We'll build castles, you know. I might actually finally splurge a bit if we actually can pull this off. It'll be great. But none of you will want for anything. Although your children will need to struggle. Struggle is part of life. There's no fun in playing Elden Ring if you never fail. You know?
Yeah.
I want to see Abinat's face one more time.
You.
I love you, man. I missed you so much.
I miss you too.
Don't any of you let anyone tell you what you can and cannot do. And don't for a second think that you're not the right person to be on this team to help us win. You're exactly the right people. Sume was right about you, Jordan. You'll figure that out eventually.
I wish I knew all of the you for a longer time. Kind of jealous. Well, there's very great people. Yeah, very great people.
I'm with you all to the end. I'm never going anywhere. To my dying breath. This is it. I'm so excited about what we're doing. I'm so happy. You can't pose for supermodel pictures without feeling it. You know, that's hard to do. Yeah, right. Isn't that kind of a fun marketing strategy? This is this is part of our getting out of the Dagobah system. I was telling everybody, like, I don't think anybody understood this. Justin, Shell, all these people, they didn't understand because like nobody goes out of their way to like Yoda, Gandalf. Remember when I was asking you, Jordan, like what do Yoda, Gandalf, Aragorn, and Obi-Wan all have in common, right?
Yeah, I remember you asked me a question some time ago. Uh,
These homeless hobos, but they're Jedi. Why are they acting like this? It's a lot easier to have clarity if you're not tempted by the bullshit that made a lot of the families that were at Weequel School more challenged to succeed at Weequel School because of all the performative bullshit in their head. Remember the jugular? Are you going for the what was it? It was are you going for the jugular or are you juggling? Right? Juggling all those bullshit goals. If it doesn't relate to the things that actually matter, get them out of your head. They're a distraction. Don't worry. Somebody thinks that you don't look the right way, act the right way, dress the right way, live in the right place. All these things are a distraction. They're a mirage. They're a mirage. That's where you're going to get your clarity. That's why some people throughout history seemingly have superpowers that just outstrip everybody else by such enormous magnitude that the only answer they can have is to give labels to those people like Jedi or demigod or druid or whatever. They're just like, these people are beyond me. Clarity. All right, gentlemen. Have a great weekend. Relax. Be sure to spend some time with family. Wash the dishes.
Only just after this.
Every day I wash those dishes. Live long and prosper.
Live
Take
long
care.
and prosper.
All right. Bye bye.